Hey everyone, welcome back. I did the entire deck profile and realized that I didn't do like any sort of combo tutorial, so it might be a little bit confusing watching it and not having context of understanding what I'm really mean. So I want to show you guys the normal Alpha Zeta combo, and then you guys have a pretty decent understanding of how this works. And then I can give you some variations and like things you can add on to it as we go along. So this is the normal combo. Basically, you're just trying to resolve full is like the main thing. So we'll start. So we go Alpha Tribute Zeta. I'm going to assume there's no interruptions, but I'll talk about it as I go along. We search Ben 10. If you get Ashed here, it's pretty rough, honestly, but I got Ashed like once, so it wasn't really too big of an issue. Zeta Effect Tribute Ben 10. You're going to search Ritual Spell. Then off of the Ben 10, you can either add Manju or Diviner, depending on if you want to end on Dweller or Barone. In this case, I'm just going to show you guys Barone because I think that it is probably the safest route, as well as being the most generic, I guess. It has the most generic outs, whereas Dweller has like some specific matchup. But yeah, you don't want to normal summon that actually. You want to go Overlay for Fafnir. The reason you want to do this is because you want to bait a hand trap if they have... Ogre is fine, honestly, if they ogre you here, which happened a couple times. And then Imperm is also something to keep, like, be aware about. Valor Imperm. But if they do Valor Imperm you here, you're fine because you really just want to resolve your Diviner. So assuming they don't have hand traps, though, we're going to send Gamma. And the reason we're going to send Gamma is because it's the best one to play through Nibiru. If we send Delta, we'll get an extra draw, which doesn't really matter. But the Gamma just helps us really help like play through hand traps, I guess. Normal Diviner. Diviner's going to send Arclight. Do keep aware that this actually gains 4 levels, so I'll put something on that to remind you. Arclight is going to search us for full. And then we're going to activate Medionis here. This is the force summon, by the way, so like you're safe through Nibiru. They can't Nibiru you here. But they can Nibiru you after you summon the full. So you go full effect, target Ben 10, add back to hand. It becomes level 6, which is pretty relevant, actually. Then we're going to use the second effect to Ritual a Megalith from deck, tributing the Ben 10. Summon Ophiel, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. Chainlink 2 resolves, searches, and then Chainlink 1 Ben 10 resolves. A lot of the times I just search an Alancia here just as interruption, but you are going to get another Ben 10 search, so you don't have to do Alancia here, you can do something else. I'm doing Alancia here just in case, like for whatever reason, if you like can't go Ben 10 or you forget the second Ben 10 search, just to be absolutely safe. Then here, you have a level 6 tuner and you have a level 4, so you're going to turn these two into Barone. And then now you're Nibiru proof. The nice thing here is that if they Nibiru you before you make the Barone, you'll actually be fine because then you can just go, okay, Gamma effect, tribute the full, and then you can keep playing, or just end on like Dragoon and stuff like that. So you're fine. So it's not really a big deal if they do Nibiru you here. Plus you have the Barone negate. Continuing on, we're going to go Medionis effect, targeting Fafnir, reduces its attack to 1000, adds back to hand. We're going to activate it, detach, summon Ben 10 back from the grave. And then we're going to go effect of Gamma, tributing Ben 10. I'd like to summon Zeta here because it's pretty useless after turn 1. Then we're going to activate Ben 10 effect, don't forget that, I almost just did. You search Orange Light if you have another Fairy in hand. If you don't have another Fairy in hand, obviously you probably would have searched Orange Light in place of Lancia if you had a Fairy in hand beforehand. But if you don't have another Fairy in hand, the best card to probably search is Natasha because it gives you good follow-up. Because obviously you can Ritual summon it for 1, but for 2, it's just a Ritual in hand that you can use to trigger all your Drytrons in grave, which is pretty solid. So that the next turn you have a really good follow-up. Then we're going to link 2 into Verte. And then we're going to link the last one into a Link Karibo, just to have an extra dude. You could also just leave it on field if you really want, so you have like follow-up for the next turn on field. I don't think that's very solid, though. Then we go Verte. I'm not going to send the bricks, but you summon Dragoon. And that's it. So we're going to count up the interruptions here. So you have a Barone negate, you have a Dragoon negate, you have 3 other cards in hand, so you can discard one of those 3. Then you have full with level 6, level 2, so that makes Bethor. And the Bethor is going to pop 1, 2, 3, 4 cards on your opponent's field. Then you have the Dragoon negate, and then you also have them under Lancia. So that's like 4 interruptions at the very bare minimum. It's like 4 to 7. So that's about it. And then if you draw, instead of drawing Alpha, if you draw Nova, it plays a little harder into Nibiru, but assuming you don't go Interrupted, you're going to have the Link Rib up top, and you're going to link off like Fafnir, Link Karibo, make Verte, and then instead, this will be Engrave. Then you'll have 2 other Drytrons, and then instead of making Link Karibo, you just make IP. And what this accomplishes is during your opponent's turn, you can use IP to make a Unicorn or Appaloosa. You can also use the Bethor. You can go like, let's see, you'd go Chainlink 1, IP, Chainlink, oh wait, I guess I wouldn't resolve that way because the Bethor wouldn't be on field, but like after your Bethor resolves, then you go IP, Chain, or like 1, 2, and then the 3 for a 3 material Appaloosa for 3 more negates. So, but that's only if you draw Nova or just another extender, which sometimes just doesn't happen, or it's pretty rare, I guess. But yeah, that's gonna be it for like the main combo. Obviously, if you wanted to go Manju instead of Diviner, you would just end on a Dweller instead of the Barone because it's a 4. Manju's a 4, and then Ophio's a 4, you overlay for Dweller. But that plays harder into Nibiru. They can Nibiru a lot easier with that, so be aware of that. I guess, let me think here. I think that's really it for as far as like the combos go. I guess let's play as if our opponent has Nibiru. I just want to show you guys a pretty decent, like, give you guys a decent understanding of if our opponent has Nibiru, where the optimal time to Nibiru is, and then when they do Nibiru you, what you do after. So yeah, so let's play normally. So let's go Alpha, Tribute Zeta, search Ben 10, and then we'll go Zeta, effect, Tribute Ben 10. Cards are going everywhere. Search Diviner. Overlay Fafnir. Fafnir effect sends Gamma. This is the 3rd summon. 4th summon, being Diviner effect, sends Arclight to grave, searches full. Activates, summon full. Oh, that's not full. Full effect targeting Ben 10. So actually, technically, right here would be a really optimal time for them to Nibiru you. A lot of times they don't see that though, because I believe that this actually has to gain levels to return to hand. So quick insight on this deck. I never got Nibiru'd here because my opponent wasn't super familiar with my cards. But yeah, it says target a ritual in your grave. This card's level becomes that level of that monster, of that target, sorry. Then add this card to your deck to your hand. If it said also, just add it back. But because if you Nibiru here, it can't change its level, you can add Ben 10. But a lot of the times your opponent doesn't, so you add this back to hand. And then from here, if they Nibiru you here, you're fine. Because then you can just use Gamma, tribute this, search Lancia, and then you make Dragoon with the 2 Drytrons. So that's what you would do. Furthermore, if you activate Ben 10 here, or if you activate full here, obviously they could also hit you with Nibiru here, which actually did happen to me. You would just get Ophiel from deck, which is actually even better for you. But it's probably best for them to Nibiru you, assuming they didn't Nibiru you at the most optimal time. Right here. If you go Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, or I guess the other way around, doesn't matter. They probably want to Nibiru you here in case if you search Orange Light, I guess like just in case, if you have like another fairy. So let's just assume they did. So we add Lancia, and if I can find it, and full off of the Ophiel. We get a token to the field. Shouts to the wife. Your token's pretty decent size, but then you go effect Gamma, tribute full, summon, effect a Medionis. Doesn't matter what you target. If you have another Drytron, you can actually activate Medionis, summon Ben 10, but like it's whatever. You could also technically, which is really funny, summon full back, and then you can tribute the Nibiru token to make Bethor on their turn. But most of the time, you're just going to be doing this to make Dragoon. But if you did have other extenders, you could also turn the token plus anything into IP. But yeah, and then you go Verte, and then you summon Dragoon, paying 2k, and then you go Dragoon effect pop Nibiru. You don't want to forget that. That's pretty important. And then usually from here, this is probably enough to be game if you Lancia them. And then you use your Dragoon negate on anything. And you have 3 other cards in hand to help you work with it, like play through even further. Like if you have a Delta, like I said, you can probably have your Delta also end you on something. Like you could go like Medionis, tribute the Delta, summon Ben 10, Delta, tribute Ben 10, then link Delta token into like IP. And then you have another interruption, and then sometimes you can also get a draw if you have like another dude in hand as well, and then you can turn your IP Verte into Appaloosa on their turn. So you have a couple ways to play through hand traps that like are pretty like decent, honestly. It's not like horrible, and it definitely can get you there sometimes, which is really what matters in the end, is being able to play through hand traps and then also still end on a pretty decent board that your opponent just has to open absolutely cracked or they lose. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that's a pretty quick combo tutorial that you guys like, so you guys have a pretty decent understanding of how this deck functions. But yeah, it's so good. This deck's really nice. Appreciate it. And if you haven't seen my deck profile, I will probably leave that in the description below. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.